on which we fast from grains. Uh, I'm not sure if you are observing Ekadashi, which means if you are fasting on Ekadashi, but maybe you can start. So fasting helps us to come into mode of goodness, and fasting on Ekadashi helps us to come closer to Krishna. Right? Krishna becomes happy when he sees us endeavoring. Like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Matchitta Madgata Prana Bodhayanta Parasparam Kathayantascha Mam Nityam Krishyanti Cha Ramanti Cha Tesham Nitya Yuktanam Bhajatam Priti Purvakam. Tesham Nitya Yuktanam means when he sees that we are all endeavoring very strongly in serving Krishna, in following Krishna's instructions, in trying to please him by observing Ekadashi, then what does he do? Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mamupayanti te. Then Krishna bestows upon us the buddhi yoga, which means the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. It becomes revealed to us. Right? So, to understand Bhagavad Gita, to understand this buddhi yoga, we endeavor also by our practices, and those help us to attract mercy of Krishna, the grace of Krishna. Okay. So, with that opening note, we can start with our lesson number 2. We were reading about Okay. Yes, we had read about this. So in the last discussion, which was day before yesterday, we had seen, as many of you summarized as well, does God exist? And we saw some empirical evidences for like how an ordinary person who does not know Bhagavad Gita, who does not know about scriptures, who does not means you don't have to refer to spiritual practices or spiritual paths, but you just from common sense, just from a keen observation of the world around us, we can infer the presence of God. Means we cannot, so with the help of our own very logical observations, it means very neutral observations and logical understanding, deductions, we can deduce that there must be God who has created this world. So we saw the example of Newton. Newton said the story of Newton and his friend. His friend was saying there is no God, everything came out just on its own. But Newton said, if a small model cannot be created on its own, how do you think the whole big cosmos will be created just randomly on its own? Right? So in our discussion we had seen what was the question we asked? That those who, like somebody asked the question about Big Bang, and then we discussed how Big Bang is what is the source of information as per those who propound the theory of Big Bang, those who propound that the world has come about because of Big Bang. So what is the source of information there? So many of you replied, source of information is there. You gave different answers. Somebody said energy, somebody said gravity, somebody said different laws, right? So all these are very good, very correct understanding. So these laws basically, law of conservation of energy, law of gravitation, and law of so many forces which they define, like electrostatic, electromagnetic, and the 4 fundamental forces which they define. They say these are the basic truths or basic sources of information which were present even before Big Bang. And then the Big Bang was a kind of explosion which which set everything into motion, and these laws designed, these laws, they shaped the whole universe. So the ingredients came from Big Bang, but the laws, the source of information, it designed everything, and everything became perfect, like solar system and rocks and water and air, sun, all these, they came about because of Big Bang. So, and we discussed what is the obvious fallacy in their argument, in this argument, that even if laws are there, something beautiful, some beautiful objects cannot manifest just randomly, right? And we gave one example that what is the chance that you will be, that you are traveling in, let's say, some desert or some uninhabitable place, and you suddenly find one laptop there and a MacBook is lying on the ground, and then you will say, oh, this is randomly formed. Right? That is not possible, right? That cannot be, there cannot be, you cannot find a randomly a laptop in the outer space or in the forest, right? So there has to be somebody who has designed it. Similarly, we gave example of let's say Newton's equation, F equal to ma. So somebody is the source, right? Newton is the source. Today we are learning it from our teachers, and teachers have learned from their teachers, but there was an original teacher. In this case, that's Newton, who made the who formulated Newton's laws, right? Okay, so we discussed in this direction. So let's continue our discussion. If somebody has any question, you can ask. Okay, I have a question actually, just now I remembered. How many of you have given the test for chapter 1? How many of you have given the test for chapter 1 in Learn Gita, Live Gita course? Nobody has given the test yet? Okay, Dheeraj Prabhu has given, Abhishek Bansal Prabhu has given, Tarun Prabhu, so he must have given earlier itself. So anybody, so I would suggest all of you take that test. Go to the website and so you can do it. Do it today or tomorrow, whenever you are prepared. But do it. You will. It will open up your thinking. It will open up your thought process. Today I was asked a question by Chahat Prabhu, and I was not willing to reply. I mean, I thought, okay, it's a very difficult question. Okay, it's a question, but I mean, I was not very much. I didn't want to reply, but still, I thought, okay, it's a good service for me also if I reply, because that way I will learn. I will organize my thoughts and get some picture of what I have learned from Bhagavad Gita. So that's why I just started drafting the answer, and I have posted him. I don't. No, this is not the question on gravitational waves. This one also I have posted the answer to on Piazza. This answer I have posted on Piazza. That is my limited understanding. But he also asked another question about identity. So I was formulating that answer, and that kind of was a good experience for me, because I was able to think, oh, really, how do I explain this, or do I really understand this? Right. So, of course, when Chahat Prabhu will see that answer and he will ask questions, then I will understand that I don't understand. But he has to ask questions then. Okay. So yeah. So when you give the exam, okay, fine, Chahat Prabhu can post it on Piazza. When you give an exam, you see the question, you start thinking, and then you can come back and revise your the chapter again, and then see if you really if you could explain it better, or if you have understood it better, right? I will. So Bhagavad Gita is such a literature that your understanding becomes deeper and deeper and deeper, and you start appreciating more and more. Like today you have one understanding, then tomorrow Krishna will give you a better understanding, and then you will say, oh wow, this is a much better way. Like I gave you an example, right? I was in Boston, I was working at Amazon, and I had a colleague who is senior scientist there and very intelligent, like brilliant, super brilliant student, brilliant scientist. And I was trying to explain him about some of these things, that how these laws of physics like gravity, mass, these are all our creations, right? We have formulated these concepts, like Newton or Einstein, they have formulated these concepts. These are not the reality. We cannot say mass and gravity are the reality, are the absolute truth, or are the truth, because these are just we have formulated, right? And I have told the similar thing to so many other professors and big scientists, whomever I met. They are not willing to accept this, that gravity can be an illusion, or the laws of GTR, general theory of relativity, could be an illusion, or the chemists, they will say the laws of chemical bonding is an illusion, can be an illusion, or it is there can be a better theory than that. So they won't accept. But this person, when I told him, immediately he said, yeah, why not? We have data, and to explain the data we make some models, and we can always find some better model than the other. And you can keep searching, and these are all models which we have created to understand our data, to organize our data. And tomorrow you can come up with another model to explain the same thing. So these models are not the absolute truth. And he accepted it so naturally. And I was thinking, oh no, I have been studying this and hearing from sir from so long, but it never struck me that this is such a simple to understand concept. So this is an example that how your understanding keeps improving by grace of Krishna. So Krishna gave me that understanding through this researcher, scientist, that what sir has been trying to tell me for so many years. This is such a simple concept, and I am so stupid. I'm not able to understand. So yeah, so this was a very nice experience for me. Yeah. So the point which I just discussed is that these models are not the absolute truth. That is why Krishna never says law of gravity is the absolute truth, or the 4 fundamental forces of nature, they are the absolute truth. No, they are not. They are just our models which people have made to explain the data. And what is the data? So data is what we experience from our senses, right? We experience vision, touch, taste, smell, and sound. So these are the 5 experiences which we have. That is our data. So a theory which talks in terms of data, that can be considered, okay, a sound theory, a good theory. But a theory which just talks about models, that is just a temporary theory. It can be replaced by any other theory. So that's why Bhagavad Gita talks in terms of this data, that how do you understand me, the experiencer, and data which is experienced. So that very nice understanding, I think it came because of that researcher. His name is Victor Rozgic. He's from Serbia, and he works in Amazon. Okay. Okay, let's start this. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pesthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswati Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshitarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So a very nice section here. Every living body starts with a single cell. That single cell multiplies and gives rise to gigantic bodies like elephants, whales, humans, etc. And also to tiny insects and microbes. Every organ of our body is very intricate and more complex than a computer. If a computer cannot come about by some random event, how can a living body, which is perfect working assembly of complex organs, come by chance? Similarly, the human brain processes information at a speed that cannot be simulated by the best of supercomputers. The cognitive function of a human brain is far beyond the abilities of present-day supercomputers. We do not have a machine that can properly understand, even which can properly understand language. So a small boy can learn to understand a few languages, but no machine is capable of this. Similarly, the eye has the ability to discriminate millions of colors. The combination of three primary colors, RGY, can provide millions of colors, shades, and the eyes have the power to differentiate them. There must be a creator who has created all these wonderful things. A very, very interesting paragraph which talks about the idea that this complicated existence cannot come about by chance. It cannot come into being just randomly, right? Even if you say, okay, laws are the absolute truth, but even then, you just pump into these laws some arbitrary. I have shared the screen. Screen is shared. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. So this world cannot come about randomly, right? For example, you won't see industries working like this. In industry, you have a big chamber where the laws are acting, because laws are acting everywhere. And let's say this is a laptop industry, and people, they bring some plastic and some silicon and some other metals, and they just throw into that chamber and then wait for some time and laptops come out, right? That cannot happen. You have to supply information to assemble it. That is the question. Where is the source of that information? That information, that assembly, that structure cannot come about on its own. It cannot come about on its own. What structure will come out? That won't be semantically useful for it to be used as a computer, right? Okay. And so, and if you observe the nature around you, you will see it is so complicated. The structure is so intricate. That structure, that information in the form of structure, cannot come about on its own. Somebody has to design it. Somebody has to put it in place. So an example is given. So there are two very, very nice statements, because those who work in machine learning, they can appreciate it very well. We do not have a machine that can even properly understand language. That is true. We do not have a machine that can properly understand language. Now you may say there are machines which can do natural language processing. For example, you write in Google, if you write an email, you write half a sentence, and Google will complete your other half sentence automatically, and it is very powerful. It works. It works. When I was formulating this answer today, I was doing it on Gmail, on Google, and I will write half the sentence and it will complete the other half, and as if it understands what I'm going to write. Right? So you can safely say the answer which I have written, which I have to this question, half of it is given by Google. Okay, a little less than half, but okay. So it is still, it's very interesting. So now you can say, yes, we have machines which can understand language, right? It looks so fascinating. And if you talk to machine learning scientists, they will say, yes, we are almost there. Very soon we will be there when machines can understand language. Machines will. So just like you said, a small boy can learn to understand a few languages, but a machine is not capable of doing this. So they will say, yes, machines can also do this. But so let me tell you, the current level of machines, it is so gross, it cannot do it. It needs a fundamental paradigm shift. I'm not saying machines can never do it. Machines can do it, but with the current technology, even if you bring deep learning, it cannot. It needs a very fundamental revision to our ideas of fundamental physics, like what is the nature of the world. So today's understanding is the world is made up of, okay, these ingredients like chemicals, molecules, energy, and these laws which are acting. But you have to change it. You have to change it to, no, this world is made up of information. Come to this science which talks in terms of data and observations, observer and observation. Such machines can do it, and I hope very soon somebody will build such a machine very soon. It should be there. But this science, how to build it, is given exactly in Bhagavad Gita, because Bhagavad Gita talks in terms of not the models as the absolute truths, but the observer and observations. Okay, observations are not absolute truth, but this capacity to make the observations, and so they are closer to truth than the models themselves. So using this understanding of observation and observations, observer and observations, we can make a machine which can understand languages. I won't go into details, but this is very powerful what Bhagavad Gita suggests. The Gita says, Shrotram chakshu sparshanam cha rasanam ghranam eva cha adhishtaya manaschayam vishayanupasevate. So it talks about the world in terms of, okay, there are rasanam, means there are tastes, ghranam, smells, adhishtaya manaschayam vishayanupasevate. So a living being, an observer, is vishayanupasevate, means he is enjoying the objects of senses in this way. Basically, there is an observer who is observing, and these things are just observations. So with that understanding, we are trying to see if we can make mathematical model of this, and then machines can learn languages on their own. Machines can comprehend the world on its own. Currently it is not. Currently it is very brute force. It is humans only who put all the information, and machines, they just using that information, they optimize themselves. They optimize what to optimize, that also humans tell. What is learning, that also humans tell. The optimization algorithm also humans make. So there is nothing what machine is doing. It is just the whole procedure is very, very handicrafted. Okay. So let's move on. Otherwise, this topic will take all the time. And okay. Hare Krishna. Yes. So about E. coli. So Sir often gives the example of E. coli because there is a reason. Sir has done some research on E. coli. When he was in postdoc, he was doing postdoc in Germany. There he was working on E. coli bacteria. Basically, there is a motor here. You can see this is the motor, and so Sir works on AI and control. So he was studying the control of this motor and in E. coli bacteria. So that was and that because of that association, Sir got many insights into this kind of perfect design. So generally it is said that things which are small, they are simpler. Like I think Sir has written somewhere. Yes, even a single cell organism is so complex in its design. If you look at the research community, there are thousands of people doing PhD to understand this nanomotor. So if E. coli bacteria motor is so complex, what to speak of other living beings, from reptiles to birds to animals to human beings. Generally, you have read in your biology that first the single cell organisms came, which were very simple, and then they combined to form multicellular organisms, and then human beings came about and evolution happened. But what Sir is trying to say here is, even a single cell organism is so complex that it cannot come about just randomly, right? You just put some ingredients and let the chamber sit there for some years, and suddenly you find, oh, there are this beautiful nanomotor which has manifested. That cannot happen, right? So what Sir is saying, that even single cell organisms, which Darwin thinks are very simple, even they are not simple. They are also very complicated, and just some random lightning cannot create these single cell organisms. Okay. Then, so there are many other examples, like how water is being circulated throughout the universe. This is really remarkable. It looks very trivial. Okay, rain is there, and then you get water, and water supply is there. But if you see the whole mechanism, it's very complex. And when it stops, then we start thinking, oh, I thought it was so simple, but it is so complex. So when there is no rain, when there is water crisis, then we start appreciating the natural system. Like when the rivers are drying up, and everybody is thinking, oh, this God-made water circulation system was so good. Why did we destroy it? Why did we destroy our rivers? We have dried them up completely. Without them, we cannot survive. But God has made such a system without expending any energy. We are not expending any energy. We are not putting any pumps. Still, the water is being circulated everywhere, right? There is a ocean from where water evaporates. From all the water bodies, the water evaporates, and because of sun, right? It just evaporates, forms clouds, and it either snows in the Himalayas or rains in different places. And whatever the snow is there, it trickles down in the form of rivers. Like the water, it melts, and all the water is available to us. It spreads throughout the land in the form of rivers. And even that river water is absorbed by the earth. The rainwater is absorbed by the earth and stored there for future use in the form of underground water, right, which we are consuming. So this whole mechanism is very complicated, and just thinking it has come about on its own just randomly, that looks very naive. That looks somebody is not observing keenly enough. Okay. And natural symbiotic living order. When we observe in nature, we see that there is a harmonious symbiotic relationship between different living entities. There are microbes in the soil that eat the soil and make it porous. If we provide for their fast growth, then they can help us to make the land light and fertile. The plants in turn grow better when the soil becomes light and fertile naturally, as they can now consume the elements of the soil better. So what Sir is trying to say here is that even around us, like how the crops they grow, how plants grow, which we eat. So it is so complicated, and there is very delicate balance between the microbes and the plants and the natural ingredients available, and us, those who are doing everything to grow food for us. Okay. So I think in some previous sessions we had discussed about making artificial machines, right? And we discussed that how we are spending so much time and energy on building artificial systems, but we hardly are caring for the natural systems which are available to us. And this will be very dangerous, because if natural systems are destroyed, what shall we eat? What shall we breathe? What shall we drink? We cannot survive. So the quest for knowledge, which means the quest for understanding how machines work, that is good only if it leads to a better understanding of ourselves, right? Of ourselves. If it helps us in evolving ourselves into spiritually more advanced person. But other than that, just to do mundane activities, all this research doesn't make sense. Like I will give you an example. So speech recognition, like you speak to a computer, you speak and computer understands. This was considered so difficult a few decades ago. Even let's say 1 decade ago, it was almost like not feasible, not practical. And if you go further few decades earlier, you will see people will consider it impossible. Like Turing said, if you can do this, then that is the goal of intelligence, right? So it was considered so difficult. But today, people have done it. But what are they using it for? What are they using it for? What is the purpose? They just use it for, Alexa, get me a taxi. Alexa, get me some pizza from Domino's. Alexa, get me some food from Zomato. Alexa, what is the cricket score? Like all these questions, like Was this the purpose for which we did all that endeavor? We spent thousands of PhDs working on speech recognition, signal processing, machine learning, and we are spending thousands of rupees or dollars, not thousands, millions of rupees or dollars to maintain data centers around the world which are processing this data to run these systems, and the kind of environmental hazard which they are producing. Like Alexa, if you see, they have got so many data centers all over US and India and everywhere. You can go to internet and check AWS data centers. They are all over the world. And you know what is there inside the data center? These big machines, like huge machines, like they are covering entire building. And you will see the entire building is full of just machines. And these machines produce so much of heat. They consume a lot of electricity, and they produce so much of heat. And what they do is, what do this heat? Where does this heat goes? Where does this heat go? They will have to install so many air conditioners to keep it cool. So many air conditioning is required. A tremendous amount of CFCs and greenhouse gases are released, and then all the heat that is produced, it is just lost to the. It goes to the environment, and all the electricity which is consumed, you have to again set up power plants to generate that electricity. Like it's a whole big network of exploitation which is running, like huge network of exploitation. And what is the purpose? What is the purpose? Alexa, get me. Alexa, turn on the light. Alexa, get me a taxi. Alexa, give me some. Alexa, order Zomato for some food. Alexa, what is the cricket score? That is it. So all that exploitation, which is killing the symbiotic relationship of the nature, it is not helping us to evolve. It is not helping us to advance in our consciousness, to understand the nature of, as we said, nature of the self, like rasanam dhanam evacha adhisthaya manashchayam rishvishayanutva sevate. Not helping us to understand that, but rather just for Alexa, give me some. What is the time? Alexa, what is the weather? Alexa, what is the cricket score? For very, very mundane purposes, which we can anyways do without Alexa. Why do we need an Alexa for that? Okay. So Architu has made a very nice comment that companies spend millions so that they can get billions in return. Yes, they're getting billions in return. And who is paying for it? We the fools. We the fools are paying. So just see the kind of brainwashing which is going on. Like today, if you ask me, oh, you know, the new iPhone is worth 70,000 rupees. I don't know, maybe it should be costlier. It should maybe 1 lakh rupees. Okay, let's say 70,000 rupees. And I don't hesitate to spend that money to get an iPhone, right? 70,000 rupees, like it's unimaginable if you go to last decade when people won't even have telephones in their houses. Like even landline was considered a luxury, and for which the telephone bill, let's say 100 rupees telephone bill or 500 rupees telephone bill was too much. But today we are ready to spend 70,000 rupees just for a phone. So that is the kind of exploitation, and it is also a kind of degradation. Like I have become so degraded that I am such a fool. I am spending 70,000 rupees just to get a small phone. That is the kind of ignorance. And what for? Alexa, order me some taxi. Alexa, order me some food from Zomato. Alexa, what is the cricket score? And I'm spending 70,000 rupees flat on that. And not just one or two. Everybody who does not have a smartphone today. Like you go to construction workers, like people who work in very hot sun, they are busy building buildings for us, and even they have mobile phones with them, either a simple one or a smartphone, and they consider their life to be impossible without that, right? So I mean, it's a complete brainwashing going on, and we are victims of that. So what is the solution? So there is no solution as such. We have to save ourselves, and we have to think in this complicated mess, where am I standing? Am I also becoming a sheep in the herd? or am I trying to understand myself better? So very good question. How can technology go hand in hand with nature? Yes. So sir was recently in one lecture was telling very nice point that all this technology has come about. This is also a plan of nature. Everything has evolved, that we have smartphones, we have laptops, but now it is up to us that we don't use it for very, very mundane purposes like Alexa, order me food from Zomato, or Alexa, what is the cricket score? We use it for transcendental purposes. We use it for, like today we are discussing Krishna consciousness, we are discussing Bhagavad Gita on this channel. I'm using my laptop, you are using your laptops or mobile phones. So use technology for service of Krishna. Technology is not bad, but its use can be very, very bad. Like if you have to consume megawatts of electricity, right, just to get this mundane Alexa, what is the time? Alexa, what is the weather? This is useless. But if you have to spend a few megawatts to read Bhagavad Gita, understand Bhagavad Gita, yes, why not? So Krishna has given us the resources. Krishna has given us electricity, not for mundane purposes, but for a higher purpose in life. So use technology for Krishna. Use technology to understand yourself better. And also be mindful that this use of this technology is having a big carbon footprint, right? It's having a big footprint on the environment. We are indebted to so many living beings when we are using this technology, right? We are indebted to the sun, which is providing energy. We are indebted to the rivers, which are providing the resources to run these industries, and we are indebted to the earth, which is supporting all this technology. We are indebted to also so many other living beings who have, like let's say Edison, who invented electricity. We are indebted to so many other engineers and scientists who are making this technology. So when we chant Hare Krishna, then we pray for them also, that they also get some benefit. Like when we use electricity for service of Krishna, then we also pray Edison, who made electricity, may he also be blessed by Krishna, because of him we are today able to serve Krishna in this way. And also we become mindful and we minimize our wastage. Minimize wastage means we don't use electricity, we don't waste electricity, we don't waste internet resources, and we don't waste our mobile phones and laptops on useless things. We just use them for service of Krishna, that is it. So we become very, very mindful of that this is, Krishna has given me this facility, it has not come for free. It has heavy costs. So let me pray for all those who are paying the cost, and let me make sure that it is used only for service of Krishna and for nothing else. Hare Krishna. So I think today our discussion became very kind of practical, in the sense what we can do practically in life. But I would suggest you go through this, all these sections, all these paragraphs which we have read, and if you have any questions, ask on Piazza or ask tomorrow here in the chat window. So can we stop here? Anybody has any questions? Then I don't think we have time today. You can ask on Piazza or you can ask tomorrow when we start. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.